What's going on, everybody? Scott Bogman for BettingPros to tell you about my favorite bets and picks for week 1 of the college football season. I'm going to stick to totals here, and let's go ahead and start with Vodtech at Vandy. The total here is 48.5. Tickets are on the over. Cash is on the under here, but I like Vodtech. They returned 9 of 11 starters. They really hit their stride at the end of last season as well, averaging 43 points per game. Vandy, they do have that brutal schedule against the SEC. Everyone thinks they're a bad team, and they're not great, but that schedule doesn't help them. They have lost their last 6 games against Power 4 non-SEC opponents, but they're averaging 24.5 points per game scored in those, and they haven't scored fewer than 17 points in those games over the last 6. And they've also lost all those games and average giving up 38.5 points per game. So if they score their minimum 17 and they're giving up on average 38.5, we're already home, right? But also, Vandy adds Diego Pavia, the Conference USA Offensive Player of the Year from New Mexico, to help improve this offense. This is a home game for them. I don't know that the defense is going to be able to stop Virginia Tech and this offense that has continuity and is clicking, but they should put up some points themselves, I feel like. So I like the over for this game. The total is low. It's under 50. It's 48.5. So I like the over for that one. I do like the under, and why wouldn't I? In the Iowa versus Illinois State game, this one is at Iowa. The total is 40.5. Tickets and cash are on the over, and I think you look at this game, you may think, well, FCS team against one of the better defenses. Maybe that defense is going to get pick sixes, turnovers, set up this offense that is, we'll be nice and say less than average for Iowa, but it's been pretty miserable recently. Last season, 12 of their 14 games played to the under. In every single one of those unders, they scored fewer than 40 points. The total is 40.5 here. And they did lose Cooper DeJean, Iowa, to the NFL. He's a massive part of this defense. Their punt returner as well. A big spark, a big team, but they're 9th in defensive returning production this season, returning 8 starters of this defense. So I just really, really like the under 40.5 here. I think it's going to trend to what we've seen recently from Iowa. Let's go to another under that I like here. It's UTEP at Nebraska, and it's 48.5 as a total. Tickets and cash on the over, so if you want to fade me, you can follow the public. UTEP goes into the season with a new head coach, Scotty Walden from Austin P, and they were good, and they improved last season, but this UTEP roster is going over a complete and total transformation. So this is going to be first reps on the road at Nebraska. I don't really like their odds in this game. Nebraska is starting a true freshman with a new head coach as well. Matt Rule comes over from the Panthers to be the head coach of Nebraska after having success all over the place in college before this. But with a brand new starter, and they're playing Colorado next week, and we saw Colorado's going to put up points, right? So I think you're going to keep this offense for Nebraska fairly vanilla. You're not going to put a lot on film. You're going to be running the ball a lot. So I like this under 48.5, and I just don't think that UTEP is going to score many points. If you want to follow along, you can check out the BettingPros app, and if you want BettingPros Premium for free, all you have to do is download the BettingPros app, activate the app, and get your free trial by going to the upgrade screen on the app. Do that, and you'll get expert picks, projections, our prop bet analyzer, custom line alerts, and much more for the MLB, NFL, and college football. So not just college football. The app can help you with all kinds of sports and all your betting needs. Go and get your free trial at BettingPros Premium today. Let's stick to another under. UCLA at Hawaii. The total here is 52.5. This one I'm actually following along with the public. Tickets and cash are on the under as well. And UCLA is replacing a lot on defense. Latu is gone. They're not going to be the same defense that held teams to under 20 points per game last season. They were 14th at 18.3 points per game. But they should have enough strength to hold Hawaii down, I feel like. UCLA also has issues on offense. Ethan Garber's not the greatest of quarterbacks, only 5 returning starters, a new head coach, a new offensive coordinator. So continuity could be an issue for Hawaii. This is a travel game, or for UCLA, this is a travel game to Hawaii for them as well. They have Indiana next week. So once again, the same logic that I'm using for Nebraska going into next week, right? Facing a tougher opponent, you're not going to put a lot on film. And when you're facing Indiana, who I talked about in the win total, I like them to go over. I think it's going to be tough for UCLA to really open it up and show what they want. This would have to be a closer game, which would probably play to our favor to the under as well. Let's go to 2 overs. I'm done with unders. No more unders. Life's too short to bet the under, I say, but there are a couple I like here. But let's go to overs. Let's go to over 49.5 for Southern Miss at Kentucky. And look, Kentucky is replacing big pieces on offense. They return 5 starters. 2 of those are all SEC players, 9 of 11 defensive starters as well. So what I see here in this game is just a massive mismatch for Kentucky versus Southern Miss. And under head coach Will Hall, Southern Miss has been dominated by P4 teams, giving up on average 50 points per game here. It's just not great totals for Southern Miss against these teams. I think Kentucky does the heavy lifting here, probably 42. So can we get 10 from Southern Miss, or a couple extra turnovers for touchdowns or something? I just think this is a very reachable total. And I think Kentucky can do most, if not all of it, by themselves. So we're only asking a little bit from Southern Miss on offense. So I like that over. And this one you actually have heard me talk about, LSU versus USC. We've talked about a lot this week. And I like the over here. USC's defense is undergoing an overhaul. They were ranked 121st last season. LSU 81st in points per game last season. Both these teams are getting new coordinators on defense to try to improve this. Lincoln Riley has never, going back to Oklahoma, has not had strong defenses. He is an offensive-minded coach. He wants to outscore the opponents. That's what they're going to do. And we are replacing 2 Heisman-level quarterbacks in this game. I understand. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels gone for these teams, but Nussmeier, 395 yards and 3 touchdowns in the bowl game at a neutral site, as this game is going to be a neutral site game in Las Vegas for these teams. We saw Miller Moss throw 6 touchdowns last season, and there's talent gone on the offense from USC, but they keep restacking, and the wide receivers might be better this season at USC. They're just incredible. We know Lincoln Riley can design up an offense. The total is 64. I know it's a high total. I know people may not like it with that much being replaced on offense for these teams, particularly at the quarterback position. But I just think both these defenses are bad. I don't think they get fixed overnight. These are 2 teams made to run through strong offenses. They have quarterbacks with a little experience at least coming in here. So I like the over 64 in that game. I'm going to give you a couple of player props here. And this West Virginia and Penn State game, I know a lot of people are on the West Virginia side. I'm not. I think the roster strength is too big, and I respect Morgantown and West Virginia. They can make it hell to play for a lot of teams. I just think Penn State is a team that could potentially make the tournament. This is the potential top 10 team coming in here. And I know we've had issues from Drew Aller, but the only game he threw for 300 yards last season was against West Virginia. And there are climbing props over at DK for the pass yards for Drew Aller, and I'm going to go over 250 is plus 230. You can buy this for more. There are more totals that will give you better odds and longer odds, and I'm going to pair it with his teammate, wide receiver Julian Fleming, coming over the transfer from Ohio State. Big time recruit. Didn't get much. Obviously, Ohio State has had unbelievable wide receivers there. So he goes to Penn State where he can be more of the man. Well, his 60-yard prop is plus 390 in this game. He could be Penn State's number 1 wide receiver this season. So 60 yards against West Virginia, I think that's doable for Julian Fleming here. So definitely a possibility. And another game that I'm kind of the opposite as most people are picking. A lot of people are picking the under. on this TCU Stanford game. Stanford wide receiver Alakeo Maynor, over 100 receiving yards on DK is going to double up your money right now. It's plus 215. So it's a risky bet, right? He only hit 100 yards 3 times last season. They were all in overs. I like this game as an over. Stanford returns 9 of 11 starters. They have a lot of ors on the depth chart. I don't know. I think that we're going to see a better offense. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Stanford's offense is going to be good, but TCU comes in with issues. They brought in Andy Avalos. They're changing the whole defensive scheme for TCU. Is it going to work on the road week 1? We've seen Stanford upset bigger teams than this TCU team right here. I think that it's definitely possible that Stanford is in this game. I'm not going to tell you they're going to win it or money line or anything crazy like that. I think TCU is still way better. Sonny Dykes is a good coach, but I do think Maynor, one way or the other, whether it's losing to TCU or if Stanford is winning this game, it's because Maynor has taken over and gone nuts like he did in the Colorado game last year where he went 13 for 294 and 2 touchdowns. You can take away 90 of those yards because a cornerback slipped, right? That's still 12 catches for 290 and a score. So after that game, after that breakout game, they played 7 more. He had double-digit targets in 4 of those games, and the 3 that were under his target totals were 9, 8, and 6. So Maynor is going to see the ball a lot. Regardless of how this game goes, they're either going to run the offense through him or run it to him. So I am all about Maynor, and this one is my favorite prop bet of the week for college football, and that is what I got. If you guys want to follow along or if you want to fade me, you can check out the BP app to do it. So that is it for me. Follow me on Twitter at Bogman Sports, and I will see you guys next week. Take it easy, everybody, and good luck with all your bets.